So I make $30,000 per month as a 22-year-old content operator. And in this video, I'll give you my exact system so that you can literally just copy and paste it in order to get similar results and learn the true consumer psychology around what gets people to actually buy from social media. That way, you're not just creating viral content that gets empty views. Instead, you're building a content engine that consistently converts viewers into real-life revenue for your client and their businesses. This is the exact $1 per follower framework. It literally saved my ass from a 9-to-5 life of mediocrity, and it can do the same for you as well if you follow the steps exactly as they're laid out. And I, to be honest, never thought would be sharing this publicly, but I'm actually looking to hire and train content operators myself. So let me just start off with giving you the correct information first, and we'll go from there. And here it is. This is the exact system, and we have a lot to get through, including the actual funnel and the psychological triggers that actually influence purchasing behavior, on top of a couple AI tools that I'll share with you, and the exact templates and organizational structures so we can create a streamlined approach. On top of that, we'll learn a couple formulas and the 1000 true fans principle so that we always have a solid fundamental baseline going into this business model, so we can go and crush it and make our client more money on top of getting more money ourselves as a content operator. So before I get into that, let's quickly cover what actually is an operator on the social media side of things. And it's super simple, guys. It's simply creating an engine or content system that creates repeatable results for a client who sells something online. So typically we want to stick with clients who have some sort of consulting service or physical product. That way we can actually track sales from the content that we create and optimize for better results when we work with business owners, influencers, and creators. So this is one of my previous clients, Nathan. As you can see, the monthly payouts are fantastic. He has around 1 million followers on Instagram. Let's double check here. Here he is, Nathan. Yeah, so like 965K, pretty big client. And essentially the way it works is we look at the front end marketing. So first we're going to single out what does Nathan sell. Then we're going to think about who he sells to. And on top of that, we're going to go even more into depth around the pain points of his target audience. That's the answer, guys. It's not about the demographics. Oh, Nathan sells to 18 to 35-year-old, people looking to get into the e-commerce business model. Instead, it's like, what are they struggling with? Why do they want an online business? How can we help bridge the gap? Because look, the answer to the title of this video and the system as a whole is that you're not actually selling a product or consulting service. As an operator, you're creating content to market the transformation. So from point A to point B, that is what your client actually sells, not the little minute deliverables of, okay, well, you get X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, we're going to take you from point A of not knowing how to start an e-commerce business to point B, making, 20K a month with your dropshipping store on Shopify. And it's our job as the operator to create a system with a dialed-in message so that his audience isn't confused and they're actually attracted to go learn from Nathan and ultimately buy from his consulting offer. And this is a little bit different than other business models out there. Like content operating is purely front-end marketing. Don't get it confused with growth operating because that's back-end systems. And content operating trumps growth operating because your back-end systems could be perfect, but if your content sucks and no one's interested in buying from your client, well, then it doesn't matter how good your systems are, you'll still be broke. And our job is to make our client more money because then we can make more money, we can take a bigger percentage and up our monthly base fee because we're doing such a good job. So it's not growth operating, that's back-end fulfillment. Content operating is front-end marketing. Two very separate things. And then it's not clipping because with clipping, you're just creating videos and optimizing for views. But remember, clients don't give a fuck about views. They want more sales to their business. Social media is a lucrative opportunity. Everyone gets into it to make money, not to just be randomly famous. That wave is over. There are no more Justin Biebers and things like that or Kim Kardashians. Everything is about money in 2026. So that's why it's not a clipping agency. You have more leverage. That's why it's not a growth operating business. And on top of that, it's not an SMMA, it's not a typical agency because we're only working with one super client like Nathan, for example, who will pay us the big bucks, and we will be an in-house operator. So we're gonna work on year-to-year contracts, not month-to-month. And once again, we're actually optimizing for the metric they care about. So it's a one client focus, you work directly with them and your consultant, not just a basic commodity that they could get from India for like $4 an hour. You're not an editing service, right? So the strategy is really about having the correct distribution and tracking, and that's really what it is. And everyone that you see here, these are my previous students that have been through this exact formula and process that have gotten amazing results. Like Yash, 8K per month from one client, Christian, yada, 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 you get the point. Let's go into the actual real life stuff that's gonna help you guys. So first off, the opportunity is huge just because, once again, content is everything. Like without good content, your business is irrelevant, your influencer, no one gives a shit about, and on top of that, like we can actually track it. So you always make money because you create one video, that one video can make your client $50,000. Imagine you take 10% of that. Well, now you're an asset. You're not just like, oh, a monthly expense for your creator. They want to pay you more money because you make them more money. And 10% of 50K is $5,000, which is more than enough money as a start. At 5K a month, you can drop out of college, you can get your own crib, like you can live a pretty good life, and that's just the percentage. On top of that, we have a monthly base pay for actually creating the system. And like, it's still super unsaturated. We're really new into this. Like, have you guys seen anyone else talk about content operating online? No, you haven't. And I'm so certain because I literally own contentoperating.com. Like, you'll see my ugly face there, right? And I also have a federal trademark around the search term because I kind of like pioneered it. I spent the last 3 years trying to figure it out. I was a bullshit editor that was working 15 hours per day. Then I had an agency, an SMMA, that made me work even longer because I had 10 clients and 10 editors, and that was 20 people I had to talk to every single day. With an operator, remember, we have leverage, so huge opportunity. The creator economy is exploding. And on top of that, you can actually make money from this because even if you get a video at like 17 million views, unless it converts into people buying from your clients, it's useless. So literally everyone needs this service. Here's how the system works. So number one, we're gonna select a niche. Without a niche, you're operating blind. How do you sell to someone when you don't understand what are their pain points, what gets them to actually take action, and realistically, like, who are they as a person? So if you have 4 different niches, that's like playing 4 different sports at once. How are you gonna create content for 4 different people and 4 different target audiences? You can't. And on top of that, it's even worse if you pick a general format. Like, let's say you tell me, Emil, my niche is fitness. I'll tell you, brother, that's not a niche, that's an industry. Fitness could mean a lot of different things. It could be skinny people trying to gain muscle. It could be fat people trying to lose weight. It could even be pregnant women trying to lose belly fat postpartum. It's like you can't appeal to all those people at once from one type of content. It's just too big. You need to narrow it down. And it kind of goes along the lines of, who gets paid more, a family doctor or a brain surgeon? It's pretty obvious. The brain surgeon because he has more specialized knowledge and he can actually solve a bigger issue, right? So we want the content to convert by creating a niche that's super specific and then actually going and finding our dream client through the sniper approach. So we're not just gonna randomly spam DMs. We're gonna go on Instagram. We're gonna find exactly people in our niche between 3,000 and 50,000 followers. And then after that, we're going to find something hyper specific to them and create an angle we can outreach to. So what's an angle? It's a unique mechanism that gets people to pay attention. And I'll give you an example. It's like my mom. She always wants me to go to concerts with her. Like violin stuff, kind of boring in my opinion. It's like, like parents, they like that stuff, and I always say no. But one day she comes and she's like, like at the concert, there's gonna be free pizza. And guess whose ass was at the concert eating the free pizza? Me. That's what an angle is. You get the same results of going to the concert, it's just a different approach to get someone to actually take action. That's how we're going to outreach to these clients. We're not going to say, hey, I'd love to manage your content system. We're going to say something hyper specific to them in their niche and then actually take a unique approach. And then after that, we're going to make sure that we look professional online as well. If you have no profile picture, no one's going to take you seriously. You don't need to look like you're a millionaire. You don't need thousands of followers, but you need to at least look like a real person and not a bot. And then after that, we're going to get the client. We're going to build in the system. We're going to go into right here. And then we're just going to outsource the work to one editor and manage that process. So your income is entirely dependent on your positioning. Do you look like someone who can be trusted to manage a content system? And then can we actually create the videos to make money and attract high quality individuals? That's what the retention and conversion is in the formula. If you do this right, you'll make the big bucks, right? So let's jump into the psychology, and then we're gonna get into all the systems and how it works. So look, everything is about pain points, guys. Truthfully, no one cares about what you sell, and no one cares about what your client sells. They care about, can this guy help me, and do I trust him? How do you do that? Well, you create content that makes people feel like you understand them. So when you have a pain point and you have a niche, you now understand where they're coming from and what are their biggest issues, right? So let's look at an example. Let's say you're in the fitness niche and you're trying to gain muscle. Okay, well, think about it. What do you need? Okay, we need a good diet plan, you need a good workout program, and you need accountability, right? If you have good stuff in the kitchen, you're eating the right things, but you're not working out, that's not really gonna help. If you're working out, but your dad sucks, that's not really gonna help either. But if you have both, but you're inconsistent, you're also screwed, right? So you need all three. You need someone to hold your hand, make sure you actually take your fat ass to the gym, and then you need someone to give you the right information to overcome that problem. So that's what it is in that niche. It's obviously different for everyone, but when you think about a client, what's his problem? Well, maybe he's not posting consistently, his system sucks, or he is posting consistently, but he's not really getting anyone interested in buying from him. So you sell on the desired outcome, not the actual service itself. That's the big difference. What do people buy? They buy certainty, they buy clarity, and they're buying an identity shift. True purchasing behavior comes from understanding, okay, what I've been doing so far isn't working. I need to make a change. Because if you don't make a change, you'll get the same results. Right? If you keep putting in the same inputs and get an output, you don't change the inputs, you keep getting the same result. And that comes from people fundamentally breaking through limiting beliefs. If you have a limitation that you place on yourself, like, oh, I can't gain muscle because my metabolism sucks. Well, in your content and as an operator, we have to make sure our client is pre-handling that objection. So maybe something could be along the lines of, hey, look, stop blaming your metabolism. Here's a science behind how metabolism actually works, and you can break it through doing, this diet plan or the keto diet or whatever. I don't do fitness. I don't know. It's just an example, but that way, when we create a belief shift, it gets people to think differently, and we're showing that, okay, the problem isn't the diet, the problem is you. And when people understand that, they buy. They trust you. They're like, okay, Emil gets it. Emil's making me think differently. I should probably work with him. And so it's kind of like two separate things if you think about it. First, you have your client and you want him to believe in you and buy from you as an operator, but then you have to think of your client's audience. Because once we do land the client, well, now we're marketing to who he's selling to, and it's technically two different people, right? Our client's a business owner, they think very logically, but if our client is consulting for, let's say, beginners who are new to the gym or new to online business, well, you speak to them in different ways because you need to dumb it down. They need to see that whatever you're selling is attractive. You're going to tell them all the benefits, everything that they want to hear. And then after you sell them, you'll give them everything they need to hear to actually succeed. So essentially, you're probably thinking okay, we just sell deliverables, we sell the actual program, we sell the actual, diet plan. No, we're selling the identity of, hey, look, once you gain muscle, you'll get more dates, or you'll feel more confident about yourself. That's the identity shift. That's the outcome. It won't even be more muscles. That's another like common beginner mistake is like, okay, like, well, we'll make sure that these people know, okay, you get bigger muscles. Okay, but why do they want the muscles? Well, chances are they get rejected at bars. Chances are they're insecure about taking their shirt off at the beach, right? So what's the in-depth insecurity that we can target and then actually help them through this transformation with our client service and product? And so really what we need is we don't need 1,000 million views. We don't need every video to go viral. Even if we get a video at like 1,000 views, that could make us $1 million. And it's because of this 1,000 True Fans principle by Kevin Kelly. And essentially it talks about, hey, look, don't look at the views themselves. Look at the outcome from the views. Let me give you an example. Like, would you rather have 1 million views of 16-year-olds from Nigeria who are broke and don't speak English? Or would you have 1,000 of me's, 1,000 Emils looking at your content who have the money to invest in you, who actually understand what you're talking about and see the value? Which do you think will make you more money? The 1 million Nigerian kids or the 1,000 Emils? All right, it's pretty obvious. And that's what this principle is that you don't actually need 1 million followers, 1 million views. Your client needs 1,000 true fans. 1,000 fans that will buy whatever he sells and that will actually watch all his content, like, react, and that's it. 1,000 fans at $1,000 product is $1 million. Okay, here's the actual process. So when we land a client, there's 3 things we want to keep in mind with their content: the format, the style, and the angle. The format is super simple. It's like the actual bread and butter of the videos. Is it your client talking to the camera? That's talking head. Is it more of a lifestyle approach, selling the outcome of, hey, look, you'll get more dates once you're in shape, your life will be better, here's a lot of women looking at you walking down the street? Or will it be storytelling? You know, I used to be skinny, and then, you know, in school I was bullied about it, but then I took the program and X happened. That's the storytelling. We're creating a journey that the customer goes through. Once we choose one format, and remember, you don't want all 3 at the same time. You want a primary format. You don't have to do 100% of it, but I'd say 80% of either talking head, lifestyle, storytelling. We're then going to go to style. This is what makes us actually create a brand identity and helps our clients stand out, because as you see, if you just copy everyone else, well then why should they buy from you? You know, you have to be different. So like with Nathan, you'll see that the text is really small. The actual format is Proxima Nova semi-bold. Versus with someone like Rob the Bank, you'll see it's a lot more artistic, it's creative, it's a little bit glowing, and the sheriff is different, so it's not quite the same, and that's kind of what makes him actually look like, okay, I'm not a carbon copycat of everyone else in the space. And when we combine a format with a style and an angle, remember what we talked about earlier with the pizza and the concert? That's what creates the X factor. People buy when 2 answers are solved. 1, I trust you. And 2, I believe you can help me shift my current situation that I don't like to my desired outcome. And so an angle is a lot of different things, but it usually targets an emotion or outcome like curiosity, envy, urgency, surprise, relatability, inspiration, fear, insecurity, right? There's a lot of different aspects and variables we can go across. And once we've done all 3, then it's about creating a funnel strategy. So what a funnel is, essentially it's the process of someone finding out about your client, about their brand, about their service, and then actually getting them to buy. So it's unrealistic to sell in every single video. When someone sells to you, what happens? You put your guard up, right? Think about the commercial you see. You kind of just tune it out at this point. You hate being sold to. Oh, you want to take my money? No. You're not going to take my money, right? You have to be a little bit more creative, because that's how people think, right? I don't want to give you my money. Why should I give you my money? And if I'm selling every single time, it's kind of like, all right, Emil's just doing this because he's broke, he wants more money, right? It's not how it works. It's not how your client's actually going to get results. It's not how his audience will trust him. Instead, we split it up into 3 different sections: top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel. The top of funnel serves as our awareness. This is around the culture of the service that your client is providing. So with fitness, what's the culture around it, right? What kind of music typically goes down on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube? Go do your market research. Go find out, what are the comments saying? How do people feel about fitness? Is it corny? Are you actually like cool when you do it? There's this huge trend right now. It's like looks maxing, right? You want to look really attractive, and then that obviously starts with your body, because if you're fat or you're skinny, that doesn't really help. It's just getting people to understand, who are you? What do you actually sell is not until the end of the bottom of the funnel. This is just awareness. Once people are aware, they're going to naturally look at your account. They're going to see, what more does my client have to offer? And that's where the middle of the funnel comes in. This is the evaluation. So it's about, okay, now I feel understood. The top of funnel, I understand sort of what's going on, like the culture. The middle of funnel is the actual like education. It's the value that I provide that makes me think, okay, like my client gets it. And then finally, the bottom of funnel is where we sell. This is where we actually talk about our program or our client's service, and it's how people go through the buying journey. It's 3 separate steps, right? And we want to actually create a sort of like AI generator. This is the one I have. And essentially, it's going to give you hooks for your videos that are super not generic. And let's quickly test this out. So let's say, give me 5 hooks in the e-commerce niche for my client Nathan. Let's target the pain points of his audience, which are 1, they feel broke. 2, they are tired for working a 9-to-5 making someone else richer. And 3, let's think about something else. Why would someone start an online business? Well, they want financial, time, and location freedom. Okay, they want to travel on their own terms. His target audience is typically males ages 18 through 24. They are insecure about their pink account and getting respect, right, from their peers and, I don't know, potential dates / partners, right? Like, why else would you want to make money online? Why else would you want to learn e-commerce from Nathan? Well, you don't like what you see. You're tired of working for someone else. You want to travel. You want to get more respect from people because you're not like the average Joe. Right? This is how we prompt this. And this GPT I've custom coded has all the data from my clients, and it's going to give you non-generic answers like you'll see. One of the hooks we can use for our videos is, I was 22 checking my bank account before a date and praying my card wouldn't decline. You see how that hits the fear? Like, fuck, like I don't want to be that guy. I hate going on dates and checking my phone, or like not being able to just buy anything from the menu and like having to stress about it. You think that's attractive to a potential partner? No, because it shows you don't have your life together, right? Someone that has his stuff together is financially stable, they're emotionally stable, and they're not desperate either, right? So this is why this hook actually works. Instead of just saying, hey Nathan, for your video, just talk about, drop shipping works. Well, bro, like, a lot of things work. Drop shipping works, Amazon FBA works, a lot of different online models work. Why should someone do drop shipping? Well, 1, we hit the insecurity, and 2, well, what are the benefits of this model? Well, okay, once you create a website, you can automate the process. You can hire someone to do the content for you, and then you just sit back and like check your dashboard, which is the location and time freedom, right? So this is kind of how it works. Another thing, we can take a resentment angle. You're not tired, you're just building someone else's dream. That hits, right? That actually hits. So basically, you get kind of how it works. It gives you another 5 hooks that we can talk about, like a POV style format, a client wins format. right? This is going to help break their limiting beliefs. So if someone thinks, oh, dropshipping doesn't work, or oh, I could never make money because I'm a beginner. Well, if Nathan talks about a previous student that did this that was 18 and broke, well, if he could do it, well, now maybe it makes your client think that his student can do it, right? So there's a lot of different ways we can go about it, but I think you get the point. It's all about understanding your niche and understanding your target audience. This is the foundation for everything. And if you don't believe me, just think about like the fundamental purpose of how to sell. Think about a president. Who does a president market to? The entire country. He's not only marketing to the smart people. And unfortunately, especially in America, there's more dumb people than smart people. Okay? But the smart people, their vote counts the exact same as the dumb people. So if the president is talking about complicated terms like fiduciary duty and the interest rates on the monetary policy and tariffs and taxes and all this other stuff, do you think the hillbilly living in Idaho or Texas is going to understand him? No. And his vote counts, right? So what a president does is he speaks at a 5th grade level. That's actually a statistic. I think 60% of the country can't read past the 5th grade level. So would you rather vote for someone that says, I'm going to get the price of eggs down? Whether it's true or not, it sounds more attractive than someone talking about the actual policies they'll implement, because chances are that 5th grade guy won't understand it. And that's how we get presidents who win, because they understand marketing, right? And it goes the same thing with your clients. When you understand his niche, when you understand their pain points, right? Eggs being too high, the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, keeps going up because inflation's out of control. Well, I care because I'm broke and I don't have money, so I'm going to vote for the guy that's going to help me afford America, right? That's kind of how it works. And so, obviously, we want to systemize this process. So once we understand this, we're going to go and have a content pipeline. It's super simple. Here's mine. Essentially, we're going to write the title. We're going to add our creator, which Andy's another one of my clients. And then we're going to use the hook. AI, which is right here. We're going to copy and paste our 3 favorite hooks. Nobody respects the broke guy in the group. We're going to go back. We're going to put it here. And then we're going to write the body. We're going to make it short and concise and hit the insecurities. After that's done, it's in the scripting phase. We'll move it over to script revisions. Our client's going to actually hop on here as well. They're going to read it. They're going to see what they think. If they like it, perfect. They'll manually move it to approval, and then it'll be ready to film. They'll film it. We'll make the editor have access to the folder. He's going to edit it, and then I'm going to post as the operator. If he doesn't like it, he'll click Need Script Revisions, and when I refresh the page, this will actually automatically move back to scripting. That's it. And after ready to film, we can do ready to edit, editing, edit revisions, ready to post. Post it. It's pretty simple. We just want to track everything. So me, my client, my editor all have access to one pipeline, and we're not confused about what's going on. On top of that, if we go back to, where was it, the system, we want to actually track the posting. So is it a middle of funnel piece of content? Is it a top of funnel piece of content? Is it like a picture or carousel that just talks about the culture of whatever your client is selling? Is it a story, right? We want to make sure that the entire process can be fundamentally replicated, because now we can provide consistent results with a system that works over and over again. And when you're actually reaching out to your clients, you also want to automate that process. So you can do something like this. This is my DM tracker. You have your niche. It should all be the same niche. Remember, we don't want to play 5 different sports at once. Add some details, the status of like when did we actually reach out to the client, when did we close them, and then here's a contract template that you can literally just copy. It's a legally binding contractual agreement. So you're going to put your client's name, the scope of work. So it could be 30 to 50 videos a month. You can talk about the compensation, the intellectual property, and then you can use a free website like PandaDoc. You just Google PandaDoc. Just click on it, make a free account. You can get an e-signature, so it's actually like completed. And then remember, like, we're gonna get our clients on a call to explain all of this. If you have no case studies, like this is the first time you're doing it, don't worry. Just talk about the consumer psychology. Who do you think your client is going to hire as an operator? Someone that just talks about blowing up their content, or someone that knows exactly who they're selling to, their pain points, their insecurity, what influences them to buy, and then creating an organized template and system to show them? All right, pretty obvious. So that is pretty much what your call is going to be about. All of this you're going to mention, but remember, specific to their industry and their niche. And then you want a really good offer. You don't want to just tell them, hey, look, I'm going to edit 30 videos a month for you for $1,000. Remember, that's commodity stuff. They could get that from India. They want more revenue to their business. So something better would be, I will add $10,000 to your business, or you don't pay. And essentially, this creates a risk reversal, because now your client has no added risk. You get the opportunity of providing value and landing them, and they just sit back and watch you make them money. And the really good thing here is that we can scale vertically. You know, most people want more clients after more clients, and all these clients are average. Instead, we're going to scale deeply with one client and make more money from them. And now we're not creating new systems every week with a new client in a new industry. We already understand what's going on. It's much more effective, it's better bang for your buck, and ultimately we'll make more money for less work. And so that really sums it up. You know, in terms of implementing it, like, you pick the niche, you actually use the social hacking method, which, remember, looking like a real, credible, professional person online. You design one simple system, which is all of the middle funnel stuff with the pipeline in his exact niche. And then you go and land your client, help them convert their actual views into real sales. And really, like, I mean, you get it. Like, you can either go through this now, which kind of sucks, but you'll make money, and then for the rest of your life, you'll have it all automated, or you can bullshit it and then, you know, kind of be stuck later after that. But that kind of sums it up. I'm literally speed running it. It's simple, right? It's nothing complicated. At the end of the day, you're providing real results. We're not just getting views. We're not just making content. We're making them money, which is why content operating is so powerful. And I'm going to share a quick call with one of my students. It just goes more into depth around the consumer psychology. That's literally what it is. Like, content is about selling. Remember, we can't just sell. We can't just say buy from me, because no one gives a fuck, right? We have to actually tell them, hey, look, I'll get you from point A to point Z. And point Z is your dream outcome. It's the more dates, it's the bigger muscles that lead to more confidence, for example. It's in Nathan's case, you know, students who have successful e-commerce stores on Shopify. And literally, like, the formula is clarity, knowing what we're doing, what niche are we targeting, the execution, and then that gets us momentum. So I'll play that here in a second, but just like a little bonus, because I don't want to leave you guys hanging. In terms of like the actual outreach strategy, this is Ryan. This is the exact strategy I told him like 2 days ago. I just started working with him, and he already got a really good response. So pretty much, let's zoom in here. Hey Trevor, I love the ginger representation looks maxing niche. That's super specific. How come you're not posting more client transformational videos like, and these are your competitors? And now it's showing him, okay, like, you're not doing things in an optimized fashion. People are out competing you. And here are the exact people that are also in your industry, which shows I've done my research and my homework as a content operator. And then you outright tell him what you are and that you want to create high converting content. And then you use keywords like scale and automate, because when you say that, you're speaking their language. They're going to believe that you actually know what's going on. And so Ryan doesn't have an Instagram presence, you know, doesn't have thousands of followers. He looks like a person, right? And he used that formula and it worked for him. Or like Cole, who's this guy right here. Cole also experienced similar results. He said, dude, everything you said was spot on. I just got my first client. Shaking right now. Thank you. Blah, blah, blah. Essentially, once again, that's the outreach strategy. Like, that's the actual DM you'll send them. You just want to prove that you've done your research, that you understand their marketing strategy, an angle, a format, and a style. That's all you need. That's literally it. That's the entire process. This right here makes me $30,000 every single month. I live in Los Angeles, California as a result. Let's get into a little bit more into depth. It's just a recorded call between me, Cole, and actually a couple other students. So you can see how I think, and the more time you spend watching this video, you'll start to think that way, and everyone can make money together, because when you have an eye for content, when you sort of have an intuition about what works because you went through the 1,000 true fans principle, you looked at all these formulas we talked about, life just gets easier and you're not a headless chicken working for client after client. You're building a system once and then you're getting paid as an operator to manage it. Like Cole, with your other client, the gym guy, what was like a big selling point for you?
For his clients,
Yeah,
it was just like yeah, he sells like a new identity. That's like kind of his whole brand. It's like Everform coaching. It's like he
there we go.
sells you like who you're gonna like. He says in when he's onboarding a new client, the first thing he asks is like, who do you want to be a year from now? You know what I mean? And that's really powerful because like selling, a lot of people don't like who they are. Like it's kind of sad, but it's true. A lot of people, and it's reflected. So a lot of that is like a lot of his selling point is like you don't like who you are, and it's reflected in your body, kind of, you know.
Bro, on the money. Perfect. And yeah, I love that you said it's powerful. If you just sold a program, hey, look, this is a 9-month program, you're gonna cut your macros and you'll get stronger. It's like, yeah, I've heard that a million times. Who cares? But the identity, it digs deep into you. And yeah, your pain points. I'm sure your client asks his prospects or in the videos, it talks about, being skinny and being scared to take your shirt off at the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe the opposite, being fat and being able to take your shirt, scared of like people looking at you.
Yeah, it's funny. Like his best video is him just in his car and he like flexes abs. He's like, I just have to say it. Like I fucking love being jacked. I love having a six pack. And then you just explain, like it's a 30-second video. He just explains why he loves being jacked. And it got him like whatever. He did his first 10K month from that.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. From one video. It's crazy. But I think it's just because it hit their pain points so well. And it also pissed people off a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It pissed the right people off, but it also inspired the right people. I think there was one I was watching an Alex Hormozy video about how he does his content, and it's like you can make educational content, but some people are going to watch it for entertainment. You can make entertaining content, some people are going to watch it for education. Like what you like your ultimate goal with your content is just to like isn't to I guess like you don't know how people are going to react to your content, but you just like have to be strong in your positioning, I guess. You know what I mean? Because the right people are going to be it was something along the lines of that. I'm kind of butchering it, but
I
it's
think I know
basically
what it is. It's like it's really believing in what you're saying
yeah.
because like when your client's like talking about a six pack, you can tell he's super confident. And that helps sell. It's like, okay, like one, he believes in what he's saying, so he's being authentic. I can relate to that. But two, it's like if he really, didn't care about it, he wouldn't be so happy. He wouldn't be like so ecstatic talking about it to the camera, which shows, okay, if you're in better shape, you'll also be confident like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. It's like a psychological thing. Like you yeah, when you're in better shape, like a lot of people it's like envy, right? Like they envy that. That's why it makes people mad because some people envy it and they don't do anything about it. They just leave a comment on the video and they get pissed off. But other people envy it and that like creates desire to buy.
Yeah. There's like an interesting statistic. It's like sometimes when you sell people, like let's say you hop on a call and you're supposed to sell someone, you don't necessarily like ask them and you don't want to be desperate because that turns people off. But let's say it's like it's I don't know, a 2K package and then you tell them, yeah, it's 2K, it's up front, and then they kind of like push back. Instead of trying to oversell and talk about all the features and whatever of what you're marketing, you could say, oh, like you can't afford that. And it kind of creates that envy. It's like, well, no, I'm not broke. Like, I'll prove it to you. you know?
Yeah, yeah, 100%. It's
Do you
like,
know
yeah,
do you know who does that? The sales reps at designer stores. Like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, they're actually specifically trained to be slightly condescending to you, right? Not like overtly like disrespectful and arrogant, because then no one would buy there, but slightly like, okay, we're a little bit better than you. You have to spend this obscene amount of money on a piece of jewelry that we probably made in China for $5 to prove to us that you can afford it, that you're not broke. And when they're slightly condescending, that's kind of what, hits people's insecurities. Like they want to prove themselves.
Mhm. I think there was a post in the school about it, even about like who is it, the I can't remember his name, but he sold his whatever he got on like a 23K a month.
Oh,
um
Christian.
yeah, Christian, yeah. And it's about like not dropping your price when people say they can't afford it, and it's not about explaining the value. Like, and Alex Hormozy says the exact same thing. It's like someone asked him out for lunch or for like to spend a day with him to learn from him. He's like, it's like, okay, I'll do it for 50K. He's like, can you do it for 40? And Alex Hormozy's like, I can do it for 60. And then he was
Yeah,
like, okay, fine, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like it's about pricing yourself as premium, as an asset.
100%. And that's another like psychological trigger of why video editors compared to content operators, are able to work with bigger clients. When you tell a big client your service is $500, guess what? They're expecting $500 worth of value. When you price yourself as 2K or 4K or 5K, now they're expecting more value. So the idea is if I pay more, I'll get more.
I would say I even undervalued myself, like on for like this client. I won't do it next time, but it's like something I could have charged him probably 4 or 5K just as a base fee.
Yeah, you could.
But obviously that's um
One of my
for
clients,
next time.
I'll show you. Don't work with him anymore, but I did for quite a while. Andy Starring, also in the ecom niche. Have you guys seen any of his videos? Like, does he ring a bell?
Yeah, I've seen him.
Okay. How much do you think his consulting offer is where he teaches people to get into ecom?
Like 3K?
Okay, 3. Any other guesses?
I think 9K.
9K. Amon's at 5. Okay, someone guessed it, but I think Sanbihan, you already might know. But it's 8.5K. Which if you think about it is like insane. Like that's a monthly salary at like a pretty top firm in America. Right? 8.5K, that's borderline like 90 grand a year. Right? Yeah. No, yeah, that's like, yeah, something like that. So how does he get people to spend that much? And it purely comes down to his positioning as an authority. And that once again like plays into the whole like marketing tactic. There's nothing wrong with this, like designer brands do this themselves. Everyone knows that shirt isn't worth $2,000. Like, come on, guys. But people still buy it because of the brand identity. It's like, oh, like I'm gonna look rich if I buy this, and people will respect me, which doesn't always happen, right? But that's kind of the angle they take, and it's the same thing with Andy. It's like he knows when he prices higher, there's a lot of other competition that are maybe just as good about teaching e-commerce to people that price at like 3K or 4K. But they're gonna think, okay, well, if I can afford it, 8.5, I'll make a lot more money. Because surely there's more resources. Surely it's better, and that's why they're able to charge that much. And there's kind of truth to that as well. It's like, the market, like let's say I tried charging 50K to every one of you guys to work with me. Like the market would just tell you no. Like no one's going to say yes. So there is truth to like the market like tells you how valuable you are and if people like want to work with you, but you can kind of like gain some more credibility and like professionalism to look as an authority just by slightly raising your prices. And it just comes back to like the psychology of a human. It's like we value things that are hard. If something comes too easy, we don't really care about it. You know?
I think I would have gotten less pushback and had to probably have created less documents if I had priced higher. I talked to a couple people who there's a couple like the online fitness coach, whatever, coaches who coach coaches. I just reached out asking for kind of like advice and told them what I'm offering. And they said, you basically, the one common thing that every single one of them said was, you're underpricing yourself for what you're selling.
Cole, guess what, bro? I've been there.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Everyone's been there. Don't beat yourself up about it, but it's good that you've analyzed and that you understand that now.
Yeah. And at $2K a month, I mean, that's, that's still good, right? It's not I'll be able to upsell them later too.
Yeah. You're getting paid and you're building trust. Great.
Yeah.
But after the first month, tell him, hey, look, I want a percentage or I want double the base. I'd recommend percentage because there's no added cost to them really, because you're only getting a percentage of the revenue that you generate for them. And this actually creates what I call a risk reversal. So he's not taking any added risk. He's just giving you an added opportunity.
Right.
And like, yeah, he still is going to have to pay that 15%, but that's revenue he otherwise wouldn't have generated because you're the guy doing the content.
Right. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. Like every sale, you have to work kind of the same amount. Even if it's only $50 versus 2K, you still have to like explain the product, sell on the benefits, sell the outcome. Like people don't just hand you money for no reason. This just doesn't happen. So yeah, is it a little bit harder to sell like a more expensive product? Yeah. But you're roughly doing like a similar amount of work. So why not price higher? And when you do get a sale, you can actually develop the deep connection with the client. And on top of that, it's easier proportionally to work with less clients at more money. Like, just picture this. One client at 10K is one system, one angle, one editor. 10 clients at 1K is 10 systems, 10 clients, 10 editors. You're getting paid 10K in both scenarios, but one you have to work 10 times more than the other. So why not bite the bullet, over deliver, do exactly like you're doing, Cole, and get that 10K client so then you can literally just scale with him. And even at 10K a month, I mean, that's 120 a year. Like you're still living great. Like you could live in any huge city in America and like you won't be like struggling to pay rent.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Yeah, it's to be honest, it all comes down to like consumer and human psychology, like everything. We have tools to do this. Like we have objection handling techniques. We have pricing premium rates to look more like an authority. We have market research to showcase that, we're a credible source. But at the end of the day, it's just like, do people believe I can get them results? And the truth is, it's going to sound crazy, but the truth is, people will pay whatever the hell like they have if they believe they're getting an outsized return. Like Cole, you mentioned Hermosi, like, that's what he says about buying a Lamborghini. Have you heard of that?
I'm not sure.
Okay, it's like, think of this. If I give you a perfectly good Lamborghini tomorrow and it works, everything's great, there's no issues, and it's brand new and it's only $50,000. Even if you were like broke, you would take out a loan. You would figure it out to buy that Lambo for 50K because realistically it's worth 200K.
Right.
And you know, the minute you buy it, you'll just resell it and you'll pocket the difference. So that's the truth. It's like clients will even pay you $1 million, bro, if they believe you'll get them 10 million back.
Right.
Now, obviously, the more money you want to charge, like the more you need them to believe, and that's harder. But if you think about it in that, like, you know, like a linear sense of like, okay, more money equals more value, you can charge whatever you want as long as you're confident you'll get results.
Right.
And a good way to do that is a risk reversal. It's percentage based because, I mean, it's exponential. You get them 100K, you make 15. You get them 200K, you make 30K. If you're taking, 15%.
Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing I'm just not even worried about. It's just the fulfillment, starting a brand new page.
Yeah.
That's gonna be tough. Like, because it's not brand new, but it has like 100 followers, right? So it might as well be. I think, I mean, like I said, like I kind of outlined the expectations, but I'm sure they're expecting some sort of ROI. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's always challenging starting from complete scratch. So what I do in that scenario is like I wouldn't batch make all the content in like a week. I would make them like 2 at a time so you can see how they're performing and make changes on the go.
Right.
Like think of getting a girlfriend. Like you don't make a decision on the first 2 dates. You need more dates to gather more data. Like, see how she reacts. See, like, is she a normal person, right? Before you make a decision. Same thing with the content. You don't want to make it all like within 7 days and then do nothing the rest of the month, because as you're posting, you'll see the engagement, you'll see if I'm getting leads, and then you can make tweaks.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Instead of batching everything at once.
Yeah, like the batching, it's attractive because it's like, oh, okay, I only like work once a week, and then the rest of the time, like I'm free. But when you're trying to get results, it's not necessarily the most optimal approach.
Right. Yeah, I think another idea I had was for content, because like cybersecurity is a little bit new to me, but like going on to Reddit and going like r/cybersecurity, and like the most recent 5 posts are like the biggest things that have happened in cybersecurity pretty much in the last couple weeks. So like just literally turning that into like a couple of top of funnel scripts.
What I usually do, like Reddit's great. You go to this website called explodingtopics.com, and you can literally just like you can search by, hold on, did they make this paid? You can just search by, I think there's a free version. By niche. Damn, did they make this paid? Oh, there's a 7-day free trial. No, surely there's a trending. All topics. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So you can do topics like categories like AI, beauty, design, and you can just look through this. And this is data of what people are like Googling. So mineralizing gum, supplements / clusters, or you could even just go to Google Trends and just see like what are people searching, what's relevant,
Right.
and use that to your advantage. Gemini, ChatGPT, AI. And if you see patterns, like that's something I look for. Okay, ChatGPT is here twice, and AI. It's safe to say like AI would be a good mention.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You can click on them. Hold on, it's due like past 3 months. So use winter storm warning. Click explore. And you can kind of just see the search volume. And it looks like it died out because it looks like the storm's over.
Right.
But that's usually what I do. And a lot of it's just pattern recognition. And this is when people like say develop an eye for content. Like what the hell does that mean? It's just patterns. it's like when you watch enough videos of Alex Hormozy, Cole, like you kind of understand like the overall message and the vibe, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, fuck your feelings, like logical,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And now what develops is sort of an intuition or a sense of what's going to do well in this niche.
Mm-hmm.
So you cultivate that through Google Trends, through Reddit posts, through just learning about the culture of the niche that you're in. And that's why, selecting an industry is super important, because it's impossible to do that for like 8 different things at once.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, that's always been a big one for me. Like I'll just doom scroll sometimes, and like I don't recommend it like all the time, but like here and there, you'll kind of just see like, okay, what's going on? Like, what are like people like? Remember how I said the Ty Lopez like Lamborghini was big, and then it was value based, and now it's a bit more relatable. I'm only able to look at that because I've followed the culture and the trends, and like everything is like a pendulum. Like it goes up and it rocks back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So when you do that, you can really analyze like, okay, how should I make my content?
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I just say that's probably the biggest thing about content is you don't want to over systemize it. You want a system, but you don't want to just look at it as like zeros and ones. It's an intuitive art. It's creative by nature. We have the system because we want to achieve a goal and we don't want to get sidetracked. We want conversions. Like that's number one. And we want people to trust our clients. And sometimes trust, like, have you guys seen the pages of like, huge car companies like Lotus or what's another one? Aston Martin. Like a lot of their social media advertising, because they're such conglomerates and like it's hard to relate and trust them because like they have billions of dollars, it is a bit more like focused on memes, if anything. Right? Because they have to do the reverse. It's like they're so big where people don't really trust them. They have to seem more like relatable.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's something like Iman Gadji or Hermosi might need to do. It's sometimes hard to like relate to Hermosi because he like doesn't have any friends and he doesn't like going out and having fun. Like he just wants to work.
Yeah.
Right? And he knows that. And that's why, like, did you guys see his recent post today? It was like about his story.
Yeah, about his dad and yeah, I think I saw that.
Yeah, I'll pull it up. It's like I've never seen him post this before. And now it's kind of making like sense of like this one.
The basic consulting job to open up a gym. I was raised by a single dad.
So yeah, you get it. It's like super like raw, relatable, like who's Alex Hormozi? But once again, like that's because he's built up so much authority and value that he's able to now kind of step back and focus on the relatability. If you focus too much on the relatability, that could also be a problem because then it's like, okay, well, why should I listen to you? Like, what have you achieved? Like, what do you know about the industry? It's a balance.
Yeah, I actually made, it's funny you mentioned that. I made a video on this about like I just ran a couple trial reels today, but it's like about like relatability, inspiration, and education. It's like you need to have like all three or else your content's gonna fall short in like one of the domains. So it's like if you inspire people and you educate them, well, like you're gonna be put on a pedestal above your audience, but they're not gonna be able to relate to you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then if you can inspire people, you can relate to them. Well, that's great. People are going to like you, but they're probably not going to really trust you to buy from you. So your conversions might suffer. And then I think what was it? If you inspire and educate, but you don't relate, well, or no, what was the other one? Anyways, you get the point.
I do. It's it comes back to like the age-old saying, show, don't tell. If you see a video and someone's telling you how to make 10K a month, it's not as strong as someone making 10K a month and showing you the process.
Mm-hmm.
Because like now I can see it, I can believe it. Versus if you're just telling me things, well, do I really believe you? Maybe, maybe not. There's room for error. There's room for some limiting beliefs. But if you see a video, it's like, you know, I tried drop shipping and like, here are my results. And then I'm actively trying another model. It's like, okay, like he's actually doing it. Like he's actually sharing the process, the journey of it. I can see it. I don't really question it anymore versus if it's just someone talking to the camera. And like it still works. Like you can still tell people, but it's not as strong as showing people. Like that's the main thing right there.
Mhm.
You know, if let's think of an example here. If I'm on a date and I tell the girl I'm rich, I drive a Lamborghini, like she might think it's cool, but like I'm telling her, it sounds like I'm overcompensating for something. If I pay the bill without looking and I pick her up in the car and I don't say anything about it and she just sees it on her own, what do you think is gonna like leave a better impression? Right? It's kind of obvious. It's like you just have it, but she's seeing it on her own. And that's how we apply it to the content. It's like we don't always want to talk about what we have. We want to show them what we're doing. And that's going to get a more serious buying audience. Because once again, they trust you and they believe it can be done because you're showing them the process. Something to like think, right? Like food for thought about the content. It's obviously niche specific, but in general, like that's it's a trait people look for. It's like the accounting college professor might tell me about it, but if I see he lives in a really nice house and then he like explains it, I'm more likely to listen to him because I'm more likely to believe him. And to be honest, that's sometimes a false fallacy because like someone can be super smart, and still give you wrong advice. Someone could be super rich and still not know what they're doing. You could have a homeless person that's like a nuclear physicist, but he's homeless. He struggles with, I don't know, it's whatever. But like he knows the equation to get to the moon. So that's actually a false fallacy at times. But with marketing, do you think people are really thinking about the nuances or they're just taking shit at face value? Dude, there's a lot of money. Like because social media is infinitely scalable. Like anyone could have social media pretty much. The more people, like, I mean, you get capped at like the world's population. But like, you don't need the world's population. You need 1,000 people. That's it. If I sell something at $1,000 to 1,000 people, that's $1 million. I think if anyone in here makes $1 million, like you guys will be pretty happy. So you need 1,000. That's all you need. 1,000 true fans. We've talked about this on previous calls. And then imagine you up the price to 2K. Well, now that's 2 million. What's the difference between 1K and 2K? To be honest, it's not that big. Like quantitatively, it's $1,000. But if someone's gonna buy and they're willing to spend 1K, they might also be willing to spend 2. Right? It's like with Andy. If they're willing to spend 8.5, maybe they'd be willing to spend 9. It's already so high up there, an extra $500. Does it really make a difference? In most cases, no, because you're selling a little bit more on the identity part, and that's so strong and you can't quantify it. Now, if you want to get super technical, yeah, you could take 100 customers, you can pitch 9, and then you could take 100 new customers and you could pitch a lower rate of 8K and see like what's the drop-off rate, or does it increase? Or if 50 out of 100 people buy at 8, but then 20 people out of 100 buy at 9, well, then maybe you should go with 8. But what ends up happening is sometimes less people buy at more expensive price point, and you're making more money. Like you might lose some sales, but the sales that you do make are so much more money than the other that it like makes up for itself. Like, does that make sense? Yeah, but there's a whole like psychology to pricing products and services. Like for our sake in here, like as content operators, I always recommend like 3 to 10K a month. and that's like including the percentage. Like 2K base, it's pretty like average starting point. Like it's not the best, but at least you're getting paid. At least it's like a couple grand. The 15% really is like what's going to make all the money. And then like when you get really good, you can even take 20% or 25%. And like sometimes that's like 15 to 20%, and sometimes like an extra 5K. Because if your client's making 100K, that's literally what it comes out to.
Like one thing I'm wondering, like when you're testing things like with content, I know you talk a little bit about like independent variable testing. It's like, how deep does that stuff go? You know what I mean? Like, are the captions I use going to make a difference? Like,
No.
you know what I mean? Like, is it more just like the idea of the video? You know what I mean?
The concept of independent variable testing is changing only one thing at a time so you can actually measure the result. If I change 4 things and then I get a better result, it's like, well, what led to that result? Was it X, Y, or Z? So the independent variable testing really only applies to what matters. Like think of like growing a plant. Like what actually matters there? Well, probably the water and the sun and maybe the temperature. Right? If I sing to the plant, does that like matter? Right? It's like the captions or whatever. Like there's probably like a 1% difference. The hashtags don't do anything these days because the algorithm is so good. Like it doesn't need people to click on hashtags. It already knows your interest. It'll already feed you what you want. I'd say it's more of like the hook and the angle of the content. The angle is probably the biggest thing because that's in the hook. And it's like, how do you sell? Like identity is an angle. Pain points like insecurity, that's also an angle. Financial freedom is an angle. Time freedom is an angle. Location freedom is an angle. Those are the independent variables we want to test. So maybe you do 5 videos at a time freedom angle. Like you make money online to be able to work whenever you want. And then you have 5 more videos that's just for the financial freedom. Well, you can always make enough money to not go broke. That's how deep it goes, Cole. Anything more than that, it's just like, a little bit of a waste of time.
Just like semantics. Yeah. Okay. Because I'll hear like a lot of like a lot of people talking about like, well, I use this caption style and this did better. And it's like, I feel like that stuff doesn't really matter.
You know what's funny? Hermosi said that. He's like, everyone's always asked me, how do I do Hermosi captions? And then he's like, you guys are idiots. You're missing the point. It's not about the captions. It's about what you say.
Yeah, I think the most important is just the idea and the hook behind the video. Because like I've even found with scripting, I mean, I'll make a script for my client and he'll usually like just kind of go off on his own. You know what I mean? It's just mainly like the idea and the hook. It's just like you're gonna come at it from this angle. This is kind of like the idea of the video.
Yep. Think of sports. It's like, yeah, you can measure everything, like your pass accuracy, your defensive stats. But at the end of the day, that's not what makes a really good player. Like it makes you a solid player for sure. But think about, well, I'm really into soccer. So think about like soccer. You can have 100% pass accuracy, but if you're passing the ball back all the time, like, are you really having an impact on the game? Not really. Like on paper, like this guy never misses a pass. He always is able to do this properly. Yeah, but bro, he keeps passing the ball back. The goal's the other way. Like we have to create dangerous situations.
Right. So I gotta go answer this door. So
you're good, bro. You're good. The statistics are important so we can measure. Like we have to be able to quantify and look at data to make educated decisions. But we can't just look at the data either, because then like, unless you're an accountant, but even accountants, they also like have intuition. A really good accountant is able to see that numbers check out, but understand the context. It's like the books might match, but if some of the numbers look a little bit high for the service, maybe something's going on. And that's actually why accounting is like it's a huge industry, because let's say you're a drug dealer, right? And there's people that maybe are stealing from you, or like, you're an FBI informant and you see these books from this law firm, but maybe it's like it's a fake law firm, they're actually just dealing drugs. Well, like the numbers are going to check out regardless, but it's you to like apply those numbers in the right context. Well, this law firm, it's supposed to be giving consulting. Why do they give that consulting 90 times in one day? That doesn't make sense. Maybe they're doing something illegal. Maybe they're selling some illegal product and they're writing it down as consulting, but in reality, they're paying off people. I don't know, right? Could be anything. But that's kind of the point. It's like the data's there, but there's like a huge like intuitive side to it. And so that's kind of like what Cole was talking about, independent variable testing. It's like, yeah, we change one thing and one thing only so we can measure the result. But we're not going to change one thing every time to get the best result, because it won't get you the best result. We have to think about it within the correct context and environment. The guy that's always passing the ball back, he's not a player you want on the team, to be honest. You maybe want a player that has like 80% passing average, but all his passes are going forward. And yeah, he'll miss 20% of them. He'll lose the ball. It won't be perfect. But the other 80%, like he'll create really like dangerous, important goal scoring opportunities, which has a larger impact on the game.
The invoice yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, there was a little bit of pushback after the documents I sent. He said something like he wanted, because it's like a big cybersecurity company, they need like a comprehensive like blueprint essentially of like content strategy for the next 30 days with messaging guardrails to ensure that the messaging aligns with their like broader goals for their company, essentially. I really had to go above and beyond, and I had to make like a 10-page document, or it wasn't 10 pages, it was maybe like 6 pages, outlining what like 30 days of content could look like, essentially. And they're like essentially treating it like a marketing campaign, pretty much. So, and then I sent it to him. He was like, I love this. He was like, I'm really excited to start. Do you want me to write up a contract and you can send me the invoice? He just needs to he said, I need to talk to the investors to get the funds released. If my investors don't fund it through this company, he's like, I have another company and I'll just use the funds from that for it. So he really liked it.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And what's he starting out at the 2K base and then?
Yeah, 2K base.
Okay, and that's for how many videos?
30 videos. And then on top of that, I'm just going to over deliver and do like probably like 3 trial reels or like 4 or 5 trial reels for his like top of funnel reach style content, just to bring more traffic to the page, essentially. And then like really ensure that he sees like 1 month is pretty hard to see like tangible results in from a page that's starting from not a whole lot. So I told him that I'm like, the whole goal of this first campaign is just to like establish yourself in your niche and get people to trust you, pretty much. Because you're not gonna blow up in 30 days. That's just not gonna happen. And then I made like a sample 30-day strategy. I'm like, this is kind of the outline we can follow, but this is meant to be like adjustable. Like this isn't like we're going to follow this for every single video. This is the exact script we're going to use. It's like, this is an adjustable strategy based on performance metrics, essentially.
Yeah, you're in a really good spot because, you're working with a big company that has like a huge marketing budget. Like, the 2K isn't anything crazy, but that's just kind of how it goes, at least within the first month, just so like you develop more trust, you prove you can do the videos. And after that, really like, the sky's the limit. You'll have endless potential, especially if you get a percentage on that. Like you'll be able to scale like super deeply just with this one company. That's
what I'm thinking. Because once if I can get like inbound leads through Instagram, then I can start pitching him on a percentage. I'm like, hey, look at how much revenue I've generated your company in the last like couple months we've been working together. then I can pitch him on like a higher price or a rev share, depending on what like pricing model works best for whatever his company.
Yeah, that's what. Do you guys see in the chat? Coley posted he's also on a 2K base. I think he just got his first payment, and I was speaking to him about it. And he's like, "Yeah, bro, the base is just there so that I'm getting paid for the strategy, but like really." We spoke, and same thing with Brian as well. He's not in the call today, but he's on a 15% rev share. And that's the biggest thing. I mean, especially with like whether it's software, whether it's like coaching, consulting, you get a couple sales, that 15% really like adds up and it compounds. So that's really where the money's made. Like it's always nice to have that base as well. But the important thing is to establish the strategy and get the content system built out, which it sounds like is what you're doing right now. And then after that, really the management's like pretty straightforward, right? The editor already understands like the top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel breakdown. You have like the metrics in place. You just have to track the conversions, and that's really it.
Yeah, exactly. So then we're just basically, I'm just like you, I just need access. Once the documents get signed, we'll begin like the onboarding process where I get access to the account, onboard you into Notion, and yeah,
dude, congrats, bro. And
I appreciate it.
If they don't want to share like the Instagram password and everything, you can do something called remote access. It's a new feature.
That's what I was gonna, because I just figured this out the other day. Yeah, he can add us in Meta, like he can add like my page in Meta Business Suite, I think, as like an admin who can view metrics, check the DMs, and post, but not do anything else.
You don't even have to do it in the Business Suite. Like it's even more straightforward. You go to settings, access, and then add users.
Okay.
Yeah. And basically it's like it DMs you an invite. And this goes for everyone listening here. Like this is probably the best way to do it because you can't delete the account. You can't really do much other than post and then view the analytics. Oh, and you can answer DMs, but that's a separate thing they have to turn on for you. But it's all within that like access management landing page. Alonzo said, "What if I buy Instagram followers?" I wouldn't, bro. The only reason you could ever like kind of think about buying followers is just to look more professional. But then like, keep in mind that's just gonna kill the account because like the followers come from India and like Pakistan, and that just like is gonna demolish like all your metrics and everything. I wouldn't be too worried about followers. Like even if you have 200 followers or 100 followers, you can still land a client just by doing your market research and by actually looking like a professional. Like, Cole, how many followers do you have?
I have like 800. Nothing crazy.
Okay. There you go. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, Lonzo. It's a good question, though. Like, yeah, that's the only time I'd ever say. I mean, actually, I never recommend buying followers, but the one maybe exception that I could kind of understand is if like you're in a super competitive niche and you really want to stand out and your Instagram is already like built out and you've done your market research. Yeah, maybe a slightly higher number could help, but it's not really a make it or break it. And then if anything, it works against you because if you want to post on that account, like it's cooked. I was talking to Brian earlier this week. For everyone in here that doesn't know, like Brian just landed like the biggest client in his niche. He's in the exotic car rentals. And he was talking a lot about, what type of content he should make because his client sells a consulting offer where he teaches people how to get into the car rental business. And something big that we covered is really understanding the content that attracts your target audience. And I'll tell you why this is kind of like a big deal. It sounds really obvious. And like we talk about this all the time, but you really need to look at it in depth because think about the exotic car rentals niche. The cars market themselves, right? You see a Lamborghini, it's like that's all the marketing you need. But that also acts as a double-edged sword. Because while the Lamborghini is cool and you'll get views, it also sometimes attracts 15-year-old kids, right? That are unqualified. Same thing in the other sense as well. If the content's super professional and like borderline boring, that will attract serious people who are like gonna sit there and actually watch and learn value and gain something from it. But if it's just strictly educational, it might be like missing some relatability. And that also acts against you. And that's why you really have to think. It's like ignore the strategy of top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel once you've built it. Like it's there. But once you have that direction, try to actually think about like if I were in the perspective of my target audience, like what would make me want to go check out the page even more? And then think about the reverse. If I'm attracted to this content, but I'm unqualified, what would turn me off? If I speak in another language, no US audience will watch because they won't understand. Right? So it's like painfully apparent this is a big deal. But the problem is that we don't necessarily always look too much into it. And we're like, oh, yeah, my target audience is 18 to 24-year-olds looking to get into online business. Yeah, but a lot of the times they are looking to get into online business, but, the motivators are a little bit different. Some people want to get into online business to work for themselves. Others just don't want to be stuck in a job they hate. Others just want to get as rich as possible. There's even some that don't even care about the money. They just want to look cool to get more girls. And that's real consumer psychology. So really think about like who are you selling to? That's something I'd say. You said you feel like your strength is in health, but the good money in business niche. No. You can make $1 million in any niche, bro. Don't think of what's more lucrative than others. You just have to find a new angle. The business niche is a little easier to sell, I'll admit that, because people can see an ROI. With every business model, the idea is you use the skill to make your money back and then some. So with drop shipping, it's like, yeah, I might invest $2,000 in a program, but the goal is I get a winning product and I make $10,000 a month. So people can justify spending $2,000 because they see, okay, well, I'm investing it to make 10, right? With health, it's not quite money. It's like, okay, I'm investing, but I'm going to be more fit. So it's a little harder to quantify it because you can't quantify being fit. Everyone's weight's different. Everyone, muscle mass is different. But what you can quantify is, well, you can't, there's no numbers, but how I would sell in the health niche is, hey, look, you'll be more confident. You'll be in shape. You'll be more confident. And what does confident lead to? More respect among your peers, maybe more dates. And that's how you sell, the outcome. So you can make a lot of money in the health niche. Like there's people doing like 10 million a month in it. Like there's millions. I wouldn't think about what's more profitable, what's more lucrative. Just think about how do you sell. And the business niche is a little more straightforward. I sell on the outcome of generating more money. In the health niche, you're going to sell on more dates or like what's their pain point? Like why would people go to the gym? They feel insecure about how they look. Okay, so what's that? That's confidence. Maybe they feel horrible. Like they naturally, like it's hard for them to wake up early because I don't know, they're going to bed late, they have bad habits, and then they're sluggish the whole day. Okay, so you'll feel more energized. Maybe they struggle with women because they're fat and overweight and they just look not the best. You sell on the pain points, you sell the transformation, and it's different in every niche. Some are more straightforward than others, but that doesn't mean you can't make a shit ton of money in the other ones. All right, guys, that was the video. I hope it was helpful. It's the exact consumer psychology and content operating system that I promised you in the beginning of this video. And look, I want to train and hire 5 content operators that I can place with clients and actually build like a little mini army so that I have more leverage, you're making money, and it's a win-win scenario all around. It's like this flywheel of an ecosystem of everyone working together and having literally the best operators around me and my team. So if that sounds like you, if you want to actually build a system and make your first $5,000 to $10,000 per month online with this exact business model, I'll leave a link down below to fill out an application to apply to work with me. I'm pretty picky with who I work with. Like, it's actually me. I'll be giving you my personal phone number, and on top of this system, like a lot more, so you can go and crush it. If you are up for the challenge, go ahead and book a call down below and we'll talk shortly.